the sake of transparency. And Senator Roberts, you now have the call.
Thank you, Chair. Continuing our discussion, Minister, ATSIC's failure, and it was a dismal failure, showed money without accountability is no substitute for truth. We see Aboriginal women like Senator Liddell and Senator Nampijinpa Price talking about the real issues affecting Aboriginal communities and Aboriginals across Australia. And they've won huge admiration across all sectors of Australia's population. Wouldn't an open discussion be far more productive than spending and wasting billions more dollars? We have to get the truth.
Senator, I just want to pick up on the lead-in to your question in terms of ATSIC. I think everyone has a distorted view of ATSIC, and I can certainly reflect on the ATSIC that we had in the north with Garrett-Jarrah and regional councils, and they were certainly not a problem for our organisations across most of Australia. The incident around the particular chair at the time and others was seen in a different view, and there have since been political commentary even by the LN, the Liberal Nationals, in relation to that, previous Indigenous Affairs ministers who could have handled that very differently. So I do want to pick up on that. It is wrong to use that as the example for why we should not be embarking on a referendum.
You didn't answer my question, Minister. I said that an honest debate with truth would be far better than another bureaucratic body without accountability.
Well, I did actually answer your question previously today when I said that we have been transparent in every way, Senator. We have brought to the Parliament from the very first night we won government that we were maintaining the promise that we took to the Australian people that was qualified in us winning government. We have then proceeded with a working group, an engagement group, and we've certainly continued with the principles of the design around the referendum, which are on the website for all Australians to see. We've had debates in the Parliament over the referendum bill, which has been open and transparent, and we now currently have the constitutional alteration bill before the House and yet to come to the Senate. All of this is open and transparent, as it should be.
I'm talking about a debate on what the Aboriginal people need and what Australians need.
Well, because this is the debate of the Parliament.
This
is the debate of the Parliament, and every single member of the Parliament is able to bring their reflections, their views in terms of the people they represent.
I'm not talking about a debate on the voice. That is going ahead. I'm talking about a debate on the issues affecting Aboriginal people and why their needs are not being met. And I acknowledge they're not being met. And I'd say largely because of the Aboriginal industry. And that's not a slight on the Aboriginals. That's a tarring of black and white consultants.
You see, you use the word industry, Aboriginal industry, straight away. You've put First Nations people in the negative.
Well, you cut me off. You cut me off.
No, Senator, you do need to be mindful of your words. Words can be weaponised.
That was very cleverly done. That was very cleverly done. I was about to explain what the Aboriginal industry is. It's white and black. Consultants, activists, politicians, bureaucrats who seek power and manipulate power. That is not looking after the Aboriginal people. That is hindering them.
Here in Parliament, Senator Roberts, that we all belong to. It doesn't belong to. I don't think races have particular industries, so
that's correct.
We are all part of one here.
That's
Senator
correct.
Roberts, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Wouldn't it be better to have a debate about the real issues, not the voice, but about the real issues affecting and holding back Aboriginal communities, with a truthful debate?
Senator Roberts, can I ask you what contribution you've given to close the gap debate when we have that every year in February?
I have proudly called out the Close the Gap initiative because I've listened to people across Cape York and people in the Torres Strait Islands, and they have told me Close the Gap only perpetuates the gap because of the Aboriginal industry.
But
we need to get to the issues. Doesn't that
answer your question then? That is the time that we debate all of these issues that you're raising? Don't you think you've just answered your own question?
No, I do not.
The reason why we have closed the gap debates every February, prior to that it was every October because the previous government changed it for a couple of years. We brought it back to February, which reflects back to the Stolen Generations apology, where the Prime Minister at the time, Kevin Rudd, apologised. And as a result of that, we began Close the Gap so that the Parliament every single year would know, in terms of the treatment of First Nations people, in terms of the spending of monies to First Nations people, we would debate it in a respectful way. That happens every year, Senator.
I'm ashamed of the way the Prime Minister and the previous opposition leader, who was the same person, and the current opposition leader have discussed the gap. It's just a farce. It's a sugarcoating and a veneer. So what I'm talking about is an open and honest debate about the real issues, as Senator Nampijinpa Price and Karen Little have discussed at length, widely around the country, as Senator Pauline Hanson has widely around the country. That's what I'm talking about, a real debate.
So are you
criticism is not racist.
Not real?
Criticism is not racist.
But that is the opportunity. This is what I'm pointing out, Senator Roberts. You're putting your questions as though we don't talk about it at all in the Parliament, when we do. We have a specific time when we do it. We also have time, as you know, through the Senate processes, through motions, through private senators' bills. They are thoroughly discussed and debated in a very open way. So I'm not too sure where you're going with this when we already do discuss it. It doesn't mean that we're pleased with the outcomes. Certainly, I would agree with you on that.
And one answer, and then we'll break for afternoon tea. Thank you.
We are not discussing this openly and honestly. It's about labels and it's about veneers and pretence. But this, what we've got in this country through this kind of discussion, a charade around closing the gap, an insincere closing the gap, is an us versus them situation, which will be exacerbated by the voice. It's racist,
Roberts, I disagree with you.
Isn't it essentially?
I disagree with you completely.
Isn't it essentially
racist? You are in a position of power. You are in a position of power. You are in such a position of power as a member of this Parliament, and for you to say that it does not get discussed and debated is really...
It hasn't until these two women entered the Parliament.
You don't have the call. We're now... Minister, have you finished your answer to Senator Roberts'
I haven't got my question out yet. Isn't the voice
Senator Roberts, you are raising debating points, not clear questions.
I haven't finished my question.
Well, I did say we were about to break for afternoon tea.
The voice is based on a racist proposal.
Roberts, but
you're wrong.
It's not
totally
the
wrong.
kind of question that you can... it seeks you're trying to invoke a debate about this question. On that basis, we temporarily suspend for afternoon tea, and we will see each other at 4:30. Thank you, senators and officials.
Thank you, Chair.